Ayan folks, ayan na, Meta 2 tayo at alam niyo naman, pag medyo Meta 2, iba yung vibes natin, sorry. Medyo nagiging busy na naman ako, humabol na ako sa mga ibang trabaho, checking papers of students, term papers, of course mga estudyante natin sa San Beda. So, medyo back to serious mode tayo, no? Alam ko marami sa inyo nag-enjoy sa mga kalog alaskador style natin, but of course, let's not forget, we're talking about very serious issues dito. No? Ang pinag-usapan po natin dito yung kinabukasan ng ating bansa. And may tatlo akong pag-usapan ngayon very quickly. Of course, kasama dyan yung mga new information na pumapasok dun sa mga key cabinet positions. Katulad ng sinabi natin, mukhang secondary cabinet position ang nakuha. No offense, but secondary cabinet position ang kinuha ng incoming Vice President Sara Duterte. Hindi na nakuha yung Department of National Defense, which at least I consider as one of the top 4 key cabinet positions. No, we'll discuss that very shortly, and then mukhang malabo rin na si former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo will have any kind of a leading position dun sa lower house, meaning Speaker of the House, mukhang kay Martin Romualdez talaga pupunta yan. There is some discussion dun sa Senate President na si Mig Zubiri might be trying to challenge a prospective Cynthia Villar presidency of the Senate. Let's see how that goes. But mukhang Cynthia Villar definitely has the kind of momentum and numbers. Actually, dati pa lang, after 2019 elections, which she topped with, I think, more than 20 million votes, no? She was already in a strong position to garner the presidency of the Senate, pero andun kasi si Tito Soto. Alright? So now, very quickly, pag-usapan natin ng iba't ibang bagay. Alam ko, marami dyan, gusto nilang kantsawan, gusto nilang alaskador, gusto nilang mga asar ng kabila. But guys, I hope you understand we're in a very, very critical juncture sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa. We are on the threshold of some transformation. Now, this could be towards a good direction or very bad direction, depending on how things happen later on. Now, sinabi ng ating President-elect, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., duly elected, right? Let's be fair. Duly elected Vice President Leni Robredo, right? We always mention that. In this case, we're talking about duly elected President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. No, sinabi niya, judge me by my actions, not by my past per se. Of course, you can always say, well, ginamit niya yung pangalan, yung past, at saka some would say distorted versions of his father's legacy to win the presidency, not to mention accusations of disinformation and everything like that. Okay. Pero andito na tayo. Tapos na po ang elections. Okay? Tapos na ang elections. People had their chance to make their voice heard. Tapos na po ang elections. At parati kong sinasabi, napakamahalaga itong election na yan. Hindi lang dahil sa sinong pwedeng manalo sa election na yan, which I think was very clear dun sa mga surveys na nakita natin. But it's also because of anong gusto ng taong bayan. As I said, if you paid attention dun sa data, right? Pinakita natin, Pew Survey, World Values Survey. Pumunta ako mismo dun sa meeting de avance ng dalawang kampo. Klarong-klaro po sa akin na ang gusto ng ating taong bayan ay radical transformation. Structural change. Ito po ang gusto nila. Hindi fine-tuning, hindi pa cute, hindi pa hapyaw-hapyaw na policy reform dito at dyan. No, ang gusto po ng tao is radical transformation. Nakita po natin ito doon sa kampo ni LENI. Gusto po nila ng isang sistema kung saan inaangat yung interest ng mga marginalized groups, yung human rights, civil liberties, etc., etc. They want a government that is clean, that is accountable. Gets niyan. Pero kung tinignan mo rin yung mga supporters ni President-elect Marcos Jr., I'm talking about the supporters, okay? Marami sa kanila, if not all of them, same din ang gusto nila, but of course, with a different method, no? So ang debate po dito is method. At marami supporters ng mga Marcos Jr. camp, ang gusto din nila ay radical transformation dahil napagod na po sila dun sa pahapyaw-hapyaw na reforma, dun sa hindi totoong demokrasya, dun sa oligarchy capture ng ating ekonomiya. Now, again, of course, you can say parang hindi ba strange na yung method mo for correcting that is this or that. Okay, I get it. We already made that point. Pero dapat maintindihan din natin, marami sa ating kababayan, pagod na po sila. Pagod na sila dun sa mga paulit-ulit na election, marami pangako, pero pag tinignan mo yung kalagayan ng mga median voters, let's call it that way, no? Hindi po radically nag-transform over the past 2 or 3 decades. Let's just be very honest about it. Yes, may mga magandang nangyari sa ating bansa. A lot of that. High economic growth in recent years. Yes, pwede mong sabihin may modernization ng ating military, etc. Yes, we can talk about a lot of things. And no, hindi ibig sabihin niya mas maganda yung martial law dictatorship years. Of course not. Pero dapat maintindihan natin. Sabi nga ni Hillary Clinton, right? Natuto siya eh. Natuto siya. Dun sa talo niya sa 2016, natawan siya eh. Sabi niya, you meet the voters where they are. You don't drag them to your side. You don't impose on them. At klarong-klarong gusto ng ating taong bayan is radical transformation. Now, alam din ni President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. yan. I think he feels the pressure of expectations. I think he definitely feels na hindi pwede hapyaw-hapyaw na reforma, no? Or pa-cute lang. Now, obviously, there will be a lot of performative populism. Alam niyo na yan, mga Dolomite, mga ganun. Okay, given na yan. But, I think, incoming President Marcos Jr. realizes na you need to do something drastic here para talaga baguhin yung kalagayan ng ating bansa, especially yung interest ng ating mga karamihan ng ating mga mamamayan, no? So we're in a very, very critical juncture dito sa ating kasaysayan. Essentially, in 2016 and 2019, may preview na tayo. In 2022, it's a clear voice. 31 million votes. Now, obviously, pwede mong sabihin na may mga irregularities, may mga issues. Of course, we have always had irregularities, unfortunately. You can talk about VCMs. I think yung number ng VCMs na nagkaroon ng error this time, I think 3 times lower than 2019. I think 2019, mas marami pang mga VCM errors. But the gap is too big, guys. We're talking about 31 million votes. You're talking about a gap of almost a ratio of 2 to 1. Alright? So, maging realistic po tayo pag gusto natin mag-question ng mandato ng ating duly elected and incoming president. Okay? So, let's put things into context. The same way that we have to respect yung mandate ni Leni Robredo as duly elected vice president in 2016, even though it was a close fight, we have to also respect the electoral mandate of the duly elected incoming President of the Philippines. Okay? Let's be fair, let's be clear. Katulad ng sinabi ko kahapon dun sa aking post, yes, ang isang presidente sa ating bansa ay hindi hari o reyna, kung sino man siya, kung babae o lalaki. Okay? Depende dun. At dapat respetuhin niya yung ating saligang batas. At dapat pananagutan siya kung may mali siyang gagawin. At the same time, my president is someone who has been elected by the Filipino people. In this case, we have a majority. And dapat suportahan natin yung ating mga presidente at mga liderato pag tama yung ginagawa nila. So we should support and advocate when good policies in the national interest are being implemented. Because a good president that is successful makes the Filipino people successful. A good president is good for the country. A successful president is good for the success of the country. Klarong-klaro dapat tayo dyan. So, hindi tayo dapat nega lang dahil hindi nanalo yung manok nyo, no? Or hindi dapat tayo yes lang parati dahil nanalo yung manok nyo. Alright? We have to support the president because the success of the president is the success of the country. At kung mali ang ginawa niya, of course, dapat may pananagutan dahil hindi hari. Public servant po. Public servant ang isang presidente. So, sana klarong-klaro tayo dito sa ating stance sa issue na yan. And I believe whoever was to become our next president, yan din ang sasabihin ko. Right? It won't change. Ganun pa rin ang stance ko. So on a case-to-case basis, we'll support policies. And kung good yung policies, kahit hindi siya yung binoto mo, kahit may concern ka sa kanya, you should support it. At I am willing to listen. Sinabi po ni duly elected President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na judge me by my actions. Kaya titignan natin yung maging actions niya. At kahapon, pinag-usapan natin yung issue na to, guys. Mga kameta. Alright, so medyo seryoso tayo. But because we're in a very critical juncture in our history, no? Talagang gusto ng tao, radical transformation. Pagod ng tao. Pagod na. Ayaw na nila yung pahapyaw-hapyaw. Kaya nga, decisive, competent leadership. Napakamahalaga yan dun sa communication strategies ng iba't ibang team. Again, we can debate about the actual competence or achievements of candidates. But I kept on saying, dun sa communications, dun sa narrative ng mga kampo, dapat ang emphasis po ay husay. Ang emphasis po ay yung kakayahan, decisiveness. Napakamahalaga yan sa taong bayan, sa karamihan na ating kababayan. At nakita natin sa resulta, the camp that was able to project itself, let me say this again, to project itself as more decisive was the camp that won. Again, we're talking about narrative communications. Dapat kasi naintindihan mo yung pulso ng bayan eh. And the camp that also learned from its mistake in 2016 is the camp that did well in these elections. Right? For instance, in 2016, hindi ganun kaganda yung performance ni Ferdinand Marcos Jr., our incoming president, among the youth. This time, nagkaroon sila ng adjustment, some team change, some recalibration. Boom! Big time yung support ng mga Gen Z and younger generations. Kaya ang laki ng agwat, no? So, this is politics 101. Hindi po fairy tale story para ating politika. This is about doing your due diligence, doing your assignment, learning from your mistakes, picking up from where you left off, right? And then do it better next time. Okay. Now, days pa lang, ito pa, ilang araw na lang, ang nakalipas since medyo naging klaro sino maging next president natin, di ba? Nakita natin si incoming President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has made a very strong statement. He made it very clear he's gonna be his own man, he's gonna have his own team, and trusted people in charge of key cabinet positions. Right? Now, yung ginawa kay LENI, na ginawa siyang, they forced to make her spare tire, na marginalize siya as Vice President, guess what? Let's see what's gonna happen to our next incoming Vice President. Okay. DepEd is an interesting cabinet position, but it's not a senior cabinet position. Sorry to say. I mean, let's just be brutally honest about it. So, klarong-klaro yung ginagawa ni Ferdinand Marcos Jr. He's making it clear sinong boss dito. He's making it clear sinong presidente dito. At the end of the day, siyang inelect as President of the Republic. Alright? At majority for that. Diba? Now, this is a key cabinet position. Nakita natin clearly that a certain degree of professionalism, a certain degree of steady-handedness, and a certain degree of even inclusiveness is part of the conversation. Now, remember ang motto talaga ni duly elected President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ay yung unity. Of course, kini-question natin yan, ano yung unity, etc., etc. At hindi naman siya sumali dun sa mga totoong debates, right? Let's be honest. I mean, legit debates by legit organizations and all of that. Napansin ko nga yung isa na professor dyan sa SMNI debate ngayon, nag-apply na openly for cabinet position. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay. Okay, balikan natin ito, no? So, now I think is the time to operationalize yung unity na yan. And one way to see it is in the composition of the cabinet, no? Kung ito ay mga loyalista lang or mga hardcore supporters and fanatics, or ito ay actually a professional team that comes from people from across the political spectrum. All right? So for the Department of Finance, this is a very interesting one. We know that one person being considered is yung outgoing chief ng BDO, Banco de Oro, si Walter Vasmer, no? Potentially siyang in-include as Department of Finance, BDO, Unibank, no? So medyo mga these are people with solid credentials in the financial markets. At yes, to incoming President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., yes, you have to send the right signals to the market dahil hindi ganong kagandang reputasyon ng mga Marcoses to the international investment community. Let's just be brutally honest about it. You already can see that in the trend lines, in the currency, stock market, etc. But interestingly, another person that has also been mentioned is Cesar Purisima, who served also as a finance secretary sa panahon ni President Aquino. And of course, earlier we also know under different cabinets. Okay? So, now, there are a number of other names we can discuss. But the fact that Cesar Purisima, I even heard that even Marrojas could be considered. Now, that's interesting. That shows you na at least there is some openness to kind of an inclusive rainbow coalition cabinet here. I'm not saying yan ang mangyayari, but most likely, that has been at least some of the, I would say, there's some inclination towards that. Okay? Now, para sa akin, napakamahalaga sino maging next Department of Finance natin because that is about sending the right signals sa mga merkado. Kailangan po natin mag-recover. We are on a recovery path at sa aking palagay, if we get things right, hopefully early next year, naka-fully recover na po tayo sa pandemic and we can actually take off. I'm not ruling out high economic growth in the coming years. Whoever the next president is, the conditions are there. So let's see whether si Purisima, whether yung dating kaklase ni Bongbong Marcos, si Walter Wasmer ng BDO, but whoever it is, at least the names that are being dropped out there are very legit names. People na talagang kilala sa mga financial institutions, financial markets, na mga eksperto. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign and we should support it. Now, we'll come back to you once we have a confirmation sinong Department of Finance. Now, mukhang may confirmation na tayo sa DILG. So yung campaign manager ni Bongbong Marcos, no? Ang mukhang magiging next DILG secretary natin, no? So we have, sorry, I want to get the exact statement, huh? Now, as I said, sorry, right. So Mr. Abalos, no? I was just checking kung meron tayong statement from sa kanya. Okay, ang statement na nakita ko dito is from spokesman ni President-elect Marcos, Attorney Vic Rodriguez. I would like to announce that Chairman Benhur Abalos, Chairman ng AMDA, has been nominated to lead the Department of the Interior and he has accepted the challenge to lead the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Okay, napakamalaga po yung DILG, no? DILG, very, very, very important yan. Kasi dito talaga makikita yung governance ng LGUs, no? At saka governance ng mga iba't ibang, well, we're talking about domestic security essentially here, internal security. So malaking bagay po yung DILG. It's considered one of the top positions. Now, if someone as important as a campaign manager, quite successful at that, ang magta-take over ng DILG, baka I'm suddenly having doubts if ISCO could be in a position to take over DILG next year once matapos na yung restrictions doon sa mga losing candidates. Remember, may 1-year restriction po tayo doon sa mga sa mga losing candidates in terms of appointment. Now, Abalos is a pretty senior person doon sa campaign ni President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So it's quite possible na he will be the DILG secretary for some time to come. So I don't know. Let's see about it. So I don't see him as an interim DILG secretary. Mukhang there's a potential for him to be a long-term DILG secretary. Now, in the past, you have seen yung mga first appointed as DILG secretary didn't last long. Look at, for instance, President Duterte's cabinet, right? 2016, 2017. And then look at the evolution of that over time. Now, the other one, so clear na yung DILG, si former Mayor Abalos, MMDA chairman, and campaign manager. Okay, boom. So DILG is already clear, with some outsized possibility that ISCO could be considered for this after 1 year. Let's see saan pupunta yan. Department of Finance, we at least have 2 big names, a former chief of BDO and a former world-renowned finance minister, including someone who served under President Aquino. Now, Carl Chua, a good friend of ours, just for disclosure, who has done a very good job at the NEDA and also the chief economist at DOF, is another person that I heard is being considered. And I think he's someone who can be a steady hand sa kabinete ng kung sinong presidente. Nabubulo na ako. Kung sinong presidente. So, hindi ako sanay, masyadong seryoso na tayo. Actually, this is really me. This is the serious one. Pero wala na tayong wala na tayong time to waste. Okay, now the next one is DFA. This is the number 3 important cabinet position. Nakikita natin ngayon na si Prof. Clarita Carlos is openly like saying, I would want that position, and mayroon siyang statement dito sa SMNI po natin nakita yan. That was a very interesting set of debates. Parang yung job application pala yung Okay, so sabi ni Prof. Carlos, I know that President Bongbong Marcos has the political savvy and the strategic thinking to really identify the location of the Republic of the Philippines. Okay. How was that supposed to be sarcastic? To be the head of the DFA is just an implementation arm. If I become the secretary there, I have no business articulating foreign policy. It is President Bongbong Marcos who will articulate foreign policy. So in short, I will be your super loyal, whatever, you just put me there in DFA. Now, speaking of people who are being considered, there are 2 really senior diplomats who are being considered. One of them, as I've mentioned, is actually a relative of the Marcoses. Si Ambassador Babe Romualdez, I think is perfect for the job. He has handled our very serious relationship with America, our fraught relationship, one would even say, with America. Very balanced po siya. He has good relationship with all camps, different sides. I think his appointment as Foreign Secretary will send all the right signals, no, to the international community, to our partners, and also to different camps dito sa Pilipinas. No? So I think Babe Romualdez would be a very, very sensible appointment. But based on my conversation, there's another person, a current ambassador, a career diplomat, who is also being considered. Now, it's also good to have a career diplomat because career diplomats know how to run the show. They're professional. They stick to the national interest. They know what the hell they're doing. They're not here to troll people, to make statements, to make themselves look good, or etc. So having a career diplomat or a senior appointee like Babe Romualdez, I think, would be very interesting for DFA. But of course, there's an outside possibility na indeed my former professor, Clarita Carlos, indeed will be considered also for DFA. She had a very good performance anyway in handling debates sa SMNI. So I think that puts her in a good position. All right, now, matalino din siya. She actually, I think, had a role sa NDCP, National Defense College of the Philippines. She also had a role sa yung think tank ng Department of Foreign Affairs. So anyway, the number of names that are being thrown out there is interesting. Now, going to the Department of National Defense, again, this is a very, very important cabinet position. Kaya nga gusto nila Sara ito, di ba? But, sorry, hindi napunta sa kanya. So, one possibility we're looking at is current Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, again, a very professional person, will stay in this cabinet position, perhaps as interim, until papasok po ang next, most likely, long-term DND Secretary, si Guibo Chodor. Again, there will be a 1-year restriction there, so let's see how it's going to go. Guibo turned down President Duterte's suggestion to be the Defense Secretary back in 2016, but I think the dynamics are different right now. Clearly, he wants to get back into the ring. That's why he ran for the Senate. He didn't make it to the Senate, but he has good relationship with the Marcoses. Yes, kamag-anak din siya nila Aquino, but he has a very good relationship with Marcoses. He's more like the danding, etc. side. Okay, so Guibo, I think, will be an interesting pick just in case he's the person. And having Secretary Lorenzana there in the DND in the meantime, I think, is a good thing because he knows what he's doing. He's a patriot, and he has done lots for our country that is not coming out in the public. But believe me, I know what he has done for the country. He has done a very good job on so many fronts, including making sure yung ating position dyan sa Pag-asa ay malakas, no? In terms of building facilities natin, yung desalinization facilities, yung airstrip natin sa West Philippine Sea. Ilang beses po siya bumisita dyan sa ating mga isla, ating karagatan dyan sa Kalayaan Group of Islands. So in fairness to him, Secretary Lorenzana, I think him sticking around for a while at least, or even more long-term, is a good thing. I welcome that. Givo comes in, that will be an interesting thing. Pretty smart guy. He was a former Secretary of National Defense. That would be a good thing. Again, this is not confirmed. We have to still wait. I think there are a lot of serious conversations going on. All right? Okay. Now, as I said, I'm going to keep this quick because I have to go to a meeting. Medyo back to reality na tayo. Where now this is where the serious parts start, no? The other one, oh yeah, hindi ko alam ano yung maging appointment ni Tony G. The whole thing. Although, again, another good friend of ours, I think Karen Jimeno, Attorney Karen Jimeno, who has worked in different administrations from Aquino to Duterte, etc., is also being considered, it seems, for a spokesman position. So I think Attorney Vic Rodriguez will be more like Bongo, etc., really close to the president, really inner circle, chief of staff, and maybe Karen Jimeno will handle more the communications in the Malacanang with the media, etc. Anyways, she knows what she's doing. All right? Yung mga nagtutroll dyan sa akin, umayos kayo. Kung nakikinig kayo, I'm trying to be really, really as nice as possible, alright? Don't mess around here. We're serious. I'm gonna block you, okay? Don't mess. Okay? Don't mess around here. Seryoso tayo. We're adults here, okay? If you're gonna be like a 2-year-old kid, go somewhere else. Alright. Okay. Lastly, let me just close on this note before we head. Now, I think this is time for the opposition to really go back to the drawing board, make some serious assessment. No time for depression, no time for drama, etc. No time for spinning a defeat. It was a defeat. It could have been much narrower if the strategy was much better. But clearly the potential is there. LENI actually expanded her voter base since 2016 from vice president to presidency. That's a big thing. If you want to know where that assessment is coming from, look at the numbers that Jeje Marbinay got. 2010 as vice presidential candidate, victorious, versus 2016 as a presidential candidate. So clearly she's still on an upward trajectory. Not as good, but on an upward trajectory. So her potential is great. I think if she does some serious reboots, communication front, chief strategies front, etc., then maybe, she could come back even stronger down the road. But regardless, in the meantime, ang mahalaga po dito is yung taong bayan. Ang mahalaga po dito yung kagustuhan ng taong bayan. Now, if you do not like the incoming administration, you disagree with some of the things they're doing, go mobilize, organize. Nakita man natin yung pink movement, toddler pa lang yan. 6-7 months pa lang yan, it still made a lot of waves. As I said, if the strategy was better, if the grand rallies came earlier, if the celebrity endorsements came much earlier, the donor support would have come much earlier, the voter elasticity levels in terms of their preference would have been much higher. We can go through the whole jazz. I already discussed that even before elections. But now I think you know what I was talking about all this time. So alam niyo yung sinasabi ko. So yon. So strong yung potential ni LENI. Potential has to be realized. strong, very strong, hindi lang potential, but pinakita ng pink movement. Now, if you look at the differences in the votes for Leni and the vice presidential candidate of the opposition, it's at 4 or 5 million. That tells you that this is not a support for Liberal Party or the whole thing, but this is for a new movement altogether. So I think we're very clear on that. Now, I can say more. I can be kalog and alaskador and all of that, but once in a while, I think we have to have this kind of serious conversations. All right? I think folks have to be reminded, you're dealing here with not just another blogger, vlogger, whatever. We're doing serious stuff here. As I said, the president is not the king, hindi po siya hari. Dapat may pananagutan kung may mali. Dapat sang-ayon sa ating saligang batas yung ginagawa niya. But I always want whoever is the president to be successful when he or she pushes for the right policies and good policies. Because a good, successful president is a good, successful president for all of us. All right? It's a good for all of Filipino people. It's good for the country. All right? Okay, let's keep it there. Thank you very much, guys. Do you have any questions? All right. Okay. I think we'll just keep it there. I have to head to my next meeting and all. Wala naman tayong driver, etc. So I have to do everything my own. Okay. Thank you very much. God bless po. Thank you very much. Please continue to support us. Please continue to watch us. Believe me, I really appreciate you. Yes, napansin ko nga since election day, medyo dumami na naman yung mga trolls natin eh. But let me say this. Thank you, trolls, for increasing my engagement level. I always like that. That's always good. Naka 1 million na tayo doon sa isang meta natin. I think 1.3 million na abutan natin. We're averaging in hundreds of thousands easily over the past few days. That shows a level of interest in people listening to sound analysis, not just trash talk, not just junk food, right? I really appreciate that. Kahit konyo-konyo pang dating natin, at least nakikita natin yung ating mga kababayan are listening to us, are willing to give us, to lend us their ear. I really appreciate that. And yung support na binibigay niyo sa akin, whether in comments, in messages, etc. Don't worry, we'll have, in the future, I'll have certain adjustments. Hopefully, we can discuss some of the questions you raise directly to me in your messenger, etc. Sorry, I mean, I have many responsibilities. Teacher ako, and I'm a writer. So I'm doing my best here. I have no team. I'm just alone. I'm just doing everything you see. It's all on my own, right? Nothing. It's all on my own. Hindi ako kasama sa isang farm. Hindi ako kasama sa isang network of bloggers, vloggers, fake news peddlers. No, none of that. I am on my own. All right? I'm a political orphan. I'm fighting my own fight here, but I think it's a good fight. It's a noble cause. And the noble cause here is to raise the level of discussion. So kung sino man sinuportahan mo, pula, pink, whatever, rosas, blue, it's okay, guys. Come here. Let's have a proper discussion. Huwag tayo mag-haters, alright? We're having... Now, sometimes, alam ko, alaskador ako, I make sarcastic comments and all, but please, don't take it wrongly. You can see that the intention here we have is to raise the level of discussion. As I said, good policies, whoever is the president, you have my 100% support. 100% support. No worries about that. Alright? And I'm looking forward to a competent, professional, inclusive cabinet, right? Because that's good for all of us, for our country. That's what we want for all of us. Alright, medyo Obama na. That is what we want for our country. Mamaya na ako mag-soaring speech and rhetoric. Okay? Maraming salamat. Ayan. Ngayon pa lang nagbibigay na kayo ng stars sa akin. Kanina wala. Walang ya. Pag seryoso akong diretso, wala pala kayong stars eh. Guys, unity. Unity lang. Kalmado lang tayo, guys. Alright? Ayan. Yan. Dapat ganun eh. Dapat ganun. Hindi. Napansin nga, siguro, sobrang serious yung topic. Nakatutok kayo dun sa discussion natin. Nakalimutan niyo na mag-support sa natin. Yes! Yes, Larry Boy. Who knows? Hey Darian Academy could be our, God willing, next project. If we have enough support and crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and all of that, who knows? We may do a Hey Darian Academy, hindi lang Khan Academy. And you know, we can discuss literature, we can discuss biographies, we can discuss politics, economics, technology, everything. You know, we cover a lot of stuff, right? So yes, we can have that academy. Kaya napakamahalaga po yung suporta niya. First of all, on the level of moral support. Mahalaga po yan. Kasi, just to be honest, I mean, I've been getting a lot of trolling and all of that. But the reason why it doesn't affect me is because I know so many people love and support us. So why should I care about few trolls here who actually increase my engagement? Thank you very much for that. And you could see I may have fun. If you troll me, I'll say, weh. Weh. Pogi mo. Dude, you can trash talk me, guys. You trash talk me? You don't know what you're dealing with, man. Good luck sa'yo. At dun sa mga siniscreenshot tayo ng 3 a.m. na pagod na yung tsura, I'm sorry, man. Even my 3 a.m. look is much better than your freshest look. And sorry, I got interviewed from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. That's actually the next day by all top media outlets. So I'm sorry. Sorry I look tired. Sorry. I don't know about what you do with in your blogger world, but I'm sorry I'm tired. Okay? So please, come on. Come on, guys. Come on. Don't be, ano, okay? Alright. Okay. Yan na. Lumalabas na yung Alaskador side ko. But that's my point. Never take yourself too seriously. I'm not taking myself too seriously. I want people to realize na relatable tayo. Nag-uusap lang tayo, parang tambay lang sa kanto. But, what I discuss is a serious thing. I take my vocation, this is not just a job, this is a vocation very seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously, but take your vocation seriously. Alright? At andito po tayo para magkakaintindihan po tayo. Andito po tayo para maintindihan natin ng isa't isa. Kasi napaka-toxic po yung social media. Napaka-toxic po. Napaka-toxic po. Basta hindi ka lang sangayon sa akin ng 100%, wala na. Troll na kita. Ganun. Guys, come on. At the end of the day, lahat tayo kababayan dito. At the end of the day, lahat tayo gusto natin yung best para sa ating bansa. Yes, we may disagree on methods, who's the best vessel for that, but let's not forget what we are really fighting for here. All of us, I would say 80% of us at least, we want radical transformation. And whoever goes for good radical transformation, I will support that. At kung mali ang ginagawa mo, dapat may pananagutan dahil hindi kaharian ang Pilipinas. Alright? Okay. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Yes, don't worry, Anjo. We'll discuss more, all other issues as we come in. There is a possibility that I may interview, let's see, a number of incoming senators, including Robin Padilla. I would like to pick his mind on the issue of federalism. At natutuwa naman ako na kahit papaano meron tayong more pluralism sa ating Senado. May mga Muslim tayong kapatid dyan sa Senado after a very long time na wala tayong mga Muslim na kapatid na represented sa ating Senado. So it would be good to see how Senator Robin Padilla will try to make sure na yung boses na ating mga Muslim na kapatid is better heard at the national politics in ways that it hasn't been in recent years. Alright? So looking forward to that. Okay, again yes, sometimes medyo aliskador tayo, medyo payabang and all of that. But come on, guys, that's just to fill in the dead air. But you see, if I want to speak straight, serious, no dead air. We're serious, right? Boom, 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 boom. We go like that, okay? Now, this is meta 2, all right? Medyo sa gabi kasi, medyo yung energy level mo, hindi all over the place, is much more concentrated. All right, so that's what we're doing. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, you still see my mga eye bags and all tayo, so we want to rest. But I have to go to another meeting now. We have to have very serious discussions. Boom, boom, boom. And then God willing, guys, catch up tayo again tomorrow before we take the Sabbath day break. And then next week, Bagong Pilipinas, right? Inday Sara. Yan, okay? Ayan, okay? Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. All right? And yung mga napipikon dyan, kung pikon ka, wag ka na pumunta dito. All right? Ano lang naman tayo, guys. Sutil lang tayo ng konti dito. Pero pagmamahal yan, it comes from a good place. Please, understand. And I'm trying my best to reach out. I could have been just papogi lang sa CNN International, BBC, whatever. But guys, we want to have a conversation here. And I'm looking at your comments. Believe me, I'm checking them. Yung mga nagtatroll dyan, nakita ko yung comments nyo. Alam ko na yung pangalan nyo. Check ko kayo mamaya. Alright? And thank you dun sa mga Unity stars nyo and support nyo. Thank you very much, guys. I really, really appreciate your support. Sincerely. And whenever I'm a bit down, a bit tired, inisip ko yung suporta nyo. It really matters a lot to me. I don't show it that much. I mean, you only saw me cry once, and that's because natawa tayo dun sa kalabaw comment and all. So, but we are in this with full passion and commitment and dedication. Lahat yan para sa ating bayan, sa ating mga kababayan, right? Ako po ay isang scholar ng bayan, nag-aaral po ako sa UP. This is the least I can do in terms of giving back to my country, no? Kayo po ay nagpaaral sa amin, no? Kayo po ang nagpaaral sa amin, taong bayan. So, talagang may sense of responsibility kami sa ating bayan. Now, you may not agree with me 100% of the time, but you know, and I hope you know, that deep inside, ang gusto lang po lang natin dito is iangat yung level ng discussions. And sometimes, there's some policy issues. I may have a different point of view on this, but please listen to me. I bring data, I bring analysis, I back it up. If you don't agree with the data, it's okay. Give me a contrary one, we'll have a discussion. I love having debates. I love having discussions. All right? This is what drives me. This is my passion. This is my fuego, fire. Pasión del Oriente. Alright? Okay. Viva la Independencia! Yan tayo sa, ano natin? Guadalajara. Yan. Yan. Mi patria, mi corazon. Yan. Mi patria, mi corazon. Palakpakan yung mga tao. Yeah! Ganun. Alright? Okay. Walang nung naggaganan na ako, biglang tumaas ang engagement niya sa akin. Ha? Alright. Thank you so much. God bless. Please, kung hindi kayo nakaabol dun sa first 70% of our talk, please go there. We had a very serious discussion. So, yung mga hindi nakaabol dun sa una pa lang, please go back to the previous parts kasi seryoso tayo. Yung mga, the people have been sticking with us through and through, well, I hope medyo nagkaroon tayo ng konting talinawan, okay, about what's happening about us and where I'm coming from. Alright, thank you very much.